Reddit, have you ever broken a serious social stigma? At home, I pee outside like 85% of the time. Why the frick do we waste 2 gallons of water every time we take a pee? Seems like a waste. My plants look great. Thanks for asking. Every time I pee outside I feel like I bond with Mother Nature. And here I thought you were going to say that you beat the crap out of your very docile, gentle wife at a heavy metal concert. But truly, if anyone male or female attacks you or someone you care about, it's your right to fight back. While everybody masturbates, silence descends upon my English A-level class. I don't have any problem asking somebody how old they are, especially if they introduce the topic into conversation themselves. In high school my English teacher announced that it was her birthday, so I asked how old she was. The girls in the class actually booed at me, and then they all were like, "You don't ask a woman her age." I was like, what the frick ever, she just announced it was her fricking birthday. There are some pretty stupid social rules. One time I walked into a bathroom and a guy was peeing in the far right stall. Me not paying attention, I stood right next to him and unloaded. After about 5 seconds he looks over and says, "Bold move, my friend." 2 man codes broken in one bold move. Urinal etiquette and talking in the bathroom etiquette. My wife and I are tall, broad-shouldered people, 6'1" and 5'11", respectively. Your wife is taller than you. There's a broken stigma right there. I assume that grammatical parallelism is a dying art, not to mention use of the word respectively. Or maybe she is the taller one. It can happen. I regularly look underneath the bathroom stalls in women's bathrooms to see if anyone is in there. Edit. I don't look at the people, just to see if there are feet there. Most of the time half the stalls are empty when the line is out the door. Someone was standing waiting for someone else and the line just appeared. I can knock out a line in 30 seconds some days. Lilliboo forgot to mention that he is a man. I assaulted a child. I was walking down a fairly quiet street and there was a group of 4 kids walking a bit ahead of me. 3 girls and a boy, all about 11-12 years old. The boy picked up a strip of aluminium that was in a pile of trash outside a house that was having some refurbishment work done. As he continued down the street he dragged the metal along the sides of all of the parked cars, leaving huge scratches, and punched every side mirror as he passed them, knocking a few to the ground. I sped up my pace a bit, and as I passed them they were too busy laughing at the damage to see me coming. I swept the boy's legs out from under him with a firm kick. I paused for a second and looked back. The boy started to cry and the girls looked at me like they had seen a ghost. I walked away quite quickly. I don't like beer. Only guy at the party who brings Mike's Hard Lemonade. Funny thing is, everyone laughs at first, but they're always the first things gone. It's also impressive how quickly hard cider can go too, especially the drier brands such as Strongbow. I'm a woman who doesn't want children. I get questioned about that with nearly every person who finds out. In fact, I don't really like children at all. I'm sure there are worse things, but as a female not wanting children is completely mind-boggling to a lot of people. Maybe related, I took part in a clusterfuck of post-racial awesomeness once. I worked at a pizza place in a college town, so our staff was really diverse even though we were in Texas. We were just a bunch of college kids and we all goofed off a lot and got along real well both on and off duty. I don't remember how this started, but I did something one of my coworkers didn't like. Then this happened. Nobody missed a beat. Jewish coworker. Frick you. Lajksjbu. From now on you do your own taxes. Asian coworker. Don't worry, I got you. Black coworker. In an affected black dialect. You know what, frick the man. He don't need yo cheese anyhow. White boss. In flawless redneck. You boys get back to work before I get the goddamn grand wizard on the phone. Then we all laughed and went on with our work. At first I didn't get what a grand wizard was, but it sounded really funny. Now that I know what it is, it's even funnier. One day, me and my cousin decided to have sex. Because we were both really frisky. It was really awkward after that for like a year, but everything's back to normal now. I, whilst working at Game Crazy, in one regretful breath, implied that a fat customer was pregnant, and that a pregnant customer was fat. Cue my nothing to do here jetpack. I've hit a girl before too. I've told this story a few times, but here's the basic overview. I was riding on a bus across the country as part of a teen tour. There's about 40 teens on this bus, and I was reading a new book I'd just gotten. I was the group clown, doing lots of voices and telling jokes and stories, and would usually do a bit whenever people asked. Some girls ask me to do a bit, but I tell them that I don't feel like it at the moment, just want to read my book, and to ask again later. Things quickly escalated. First they just started poking me, and I told them to stop. Then they started slapping me, too lightly to actually hurt at first, but it was annoying. I told them to stop, and they wouldn't. Then the slaps started to hurt, so I warned them that if they didn't stop, I'd hit back. They didn't, and after another minute of this, I backhanded their ringleader in the face. They start crying. Everyone freaks out because I hit a girl. I just told them I had no remorse. I gave them warning, and they got what they deserved, and went back to reading my book. I will occasionally ask strangers random questions if they even seem like they might be personable or up to responding while I sit around malls waiting for my wife to get done doing her thing. Nothing personal. Often it's just a spur of the moment observation I turn into a question. Like, would you wear 2 pairs of shoes that are different colors, and point to my observation. Sometimes they laugh. Sometimes they're very angry. Either way, it's fun to gauge reactions, learn more about humans in their native habitat. I usually don't ask anyone who looks angry or determined to stay out of anyone's attention. This is the best way to make new friends in educational settings. Just stroll up to someone who looks like they're hanging around, ask something you think they might have an opinion on, and play it casual. They'll never suspect you don't belong there. Before this post gets too circlejukey, I'd advise you to sort by controversial. I've already seen some buried posts that added to the discussion, weren't trolling, and yet were downvoted because people didn't agree with their actions. Sometimes when I get on an elevator I don't turn around to face the door and just stare at the people in front of me while the elevator moves to the next floor. They never say anything either, they just shy their eyes away because they feel like I am staring deep into their soul. About 2 weeks ago, a good friend of mine threw a party. A guy I hadn't met was there and we hung out most of the night. Fun guy, cute. We exchanged numbers at the end of the night when everyone went home. My friend got a little upset with me because I'm 22 and he was 17. I told an older person off for being a bigot. There's some strange notion that once people get to a certain point, it's okay for them to talk racist, ageist, elitist, whatever crap because they are from that age. Bollocks. You correct them. They're not too old to learn new tricks. My grandmother stopped my great granddad using racist slang words for people and he was okay with it being wrong. I had to do the same with my grandma on Christmas. She started speaking very poorly about Spanish speaking people in front of my Puerto Rican ex-GF. For years my best friend was a lesbian. I'm a straight male, and we would stay in bed together and cuddle and wrestle and do everything together. She was wicked hot and knew it. We were kind of each other's heroes. I guess the stigma is, I had a girlfriend at the time. In HS I was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, tan cheerleader who dated a pale, quiet gamer with social anxiety disorder. I was homecoming queen. His friends were scared of me. My friends couldn't believe I was talking to him, but he was amazing and I was happy. Not sure if real story or perfect Reddit karma trap. One time in high school gym class, we were talking about the average length of a flaccid penis. The teacher was a woman and asserted that the average length was 6 inches while holding up a ruler. I spoke up and said no way. That's obviously the average length of an erect penis. All the girls immediately bursted out into laughter at my expense. I argued further while all the guys in the class went silent. I stuck by my argument. Despite making all the girls think I had a small penis, I still feel like a hero. As a woman I have, while sober, asked a man out on a date. I have also had no problem going to dinner or a movie alone, on purpose. When I was in high school I hissed at people who I didn't like. I am a guy and I am so freaking ashamed of my behavior. I alienated myself from so many people who turned out to be cool as frick. One time I was in a fight with my girlfriend and it somehow ended up outdoors. I was yelling and the neighbor said something like there are kids around in the heat of the moment. All I can think of to say is I'll rape your kids. I felt really bad. I don't rape kids. This is the only one to make me laugh out loud so far, and I'm pretty dang far down. This one time I didn't defend my girlfriend's honor. We were in Tijuana. It was 3 AM or so in the morning. The whole club was drunk. At some point someone grabbed my girl's butt. It was the largest black man I have ever seen in my life. There were several other large black men who appeared to be Marines. She told me it happened and to do something about it. I looked at her as was like, I am sorry it happened, but let's give them a free pass. She was not amused at the time, but the next day she sort of understood why I shouldn't start a fight at 3 AM in a Mexican club with dudes 3 times my size. Family friend asked how I was doing and I said not well. My mum gave me a talking to after that. Apparently we're only supposed to say fine regardless. In the Whitgift Center McDonald's in Croydon, everyone seems to congregate to the counters near the door and ignores the ones furthest away, despite the workers screaming can I help to them. So I essentially cut the line and get served first. The other customers look at me evilly, but what the frick guys? You could have been served first if you didn't have such a sheep mentality. I vocally call out people who disrupt movies. I'd be willing to get the manager, but every time I've done this the offender quickly shut up. If it ever escalated, which I'm always prepared for, I'd get someone kicked out, hospitalized if need be. At first I thought that I might be disruptive and telling them to stfoo, but I've always been praised, thanked. One little boy leaned over to me and said I love you. I didn't even know the kid. God's work. When I was a kid, a mean bee in school kept picking fights with my younger sister. One day this bee is following me home with a friend of hers and they're talking crap and shoving me around. I eventually got fed up, turned around and roundhouse kicked her in the head while her friend looked on in shock. That was all it took. She never bothered me again. I was raised told never hit a woman, while my older sister beat on me all the time. I developed my own mantra. Self-defense is not abuse and I will not be beaten up without standing up for myself. I'm a woman and I don't want any children and I have no sympathy for those who do and complain about it. The way I see it, it was your choice to have children and if you didn't want to clean up after another person or raise them then you shouldn't have had them. There's nothing I hate more is when people use their children as an excuse to gain sympathy and favors. I tried to kill a guy one time. I was at a bar having a good time. This drunk guy kept trying to get another beer and the bartender told him no. He started slamming his fist down on the bar saying he was going to kill her. This was a small bar with no bouncers or security. There are usually some regulars there that step in when this happens. Sometimes I step in. I had only had a few beers since I hadn't been there long so he was really getting on my nerves. The bartender tells him to leave and he grabs a guy's beer and breaks it on the bar. He tried to stab her with it and when she stepped back he tried to jump the bar. I grabbed him and snatched him back. I jumped on his back wrapping my legs around his and putting him in a choke hold. I swung myself back on the floor and proceeded to choke him. He was elbowing me in the ribs but I wasn't letting go. He started to run out of there and I had no plans of stopping. People were freaking the heck out. It took 2 other guys to break my hold from him. I probably wouldn't have went overboard but the bartender was a very close family friend. That's probably not as bad as you think. You probably would have let go once he lost consciousness, and it's pretty much a certainty that he would not die if only choked to that extent. Realistically I think you'd have more chance of killing him by punching him and having his head hit the floor badly. Spilled a funnel cake on a black woman at a baseball game then said a girl, "You ashy, I'm not proud of this lapse of judgment." Holy bejesus, I just coughed very loud in my quiet office. For my 21st birthday, I bought my friends drinks because I don't drink at all. That's probably another one. I don't drink alcohol, never have, and I'm assuming if I've made it this far in life without drinking, I'm sure I'll be okay. This was about 5 or 6 years ago. I used to live next to a vacant parking lot in a sketchy neighborhood. Cars got broken into, graffiti, etc. One day I was pulling out of said parking lot when I heard something hit my car. I looked around and saw 2 younger, probably about 12 years old, black kids pointing and laughing hysterically. Now, the car I was driving back then was no prize. '89 Cavalier convertible. The drop top had electrical tape on it to cover the whole steers, but it was still a car. I got a little pee but thought, hey, kids will be kids, and this car is already looking rough, and decided to brush it off. When bam, something bigger and heavier hit the rear quarter panel of the car. I put it in park, got out, and screamed, what the heck is wrong with you little suckers? One of them laughed and said, you stupid white bee, your car's a piece of crap anyway, which stirred the depths of my anger and this came out. Why don't you dumb little N run back to the crack house where you belong? They both just stared at me with their mouths hanging open. I got back in my piece of crap car and took off. Sometimes at about 2 AM if I'm bored I'll walk around my suburban neighborhood naked. No one is up so it's not too risky, but still feels good to walk around a good 15 minutes without any clothes on. I married a guy young enough to be my son. I was 34 and he was 19 when we met, and we married 4 months later, after he turned 20. It wasn't a cougar thing either, it was totally unexpected. The way the romantic part of the relationship developed out of friendship. My kids are closer to his age than I am. He's 4 and 5 years older than them, but my family loves him, including my kids, because they see how happy I am. His family loves me because I make him happy. If people think I'm his mother, or think I rob the cradle, or that we're disgusting when we walk holding hands or smooch in public, frick him. It's our lives, not theirs. I sometimes pee in men's bathrooms because the line is quicker. If they tell me to get the heck out, I will, but no one ever has. I kicked a girl straight in her vagina. Several years ago when I was in high school, there was a girl who found it funny to go around and kick guys in the dong. Now, I was always told to never hit a girl, but in some instances, this being one of them, that's horse crap. She came up and kicked my best friend in the balls, and laughed. She looked at me and I said, if you kick me in the balls, I'm going to kick you square in the vag. She reared back her leg and hit me straight in the groin. I reared back and kicked her straight in the T. Her friends freaked out and said, you can't hit a girl. I said I warned her. She went to the principal and tried to get me suspended. I went in, told them my story, that she had kicked my friend in the junk, and that I warned her that I'd retaliate. She ended up getting suspended for 3 days. TL. DR. B kicked me, gave her a C punt. I had a server that was a brutal B to me, fricked up my order, told me I ordered something that I didn't, then charged me for it twice and rolled her eyes at me when I got it corrected, and muttered frick off, under her breath. I didn't leave her a tip. People gave me the whole servers live for tips speech. Frick that. I never went to that restaurant after that, which is a shame in retrospect because it was a great place, but she soured me on it. As soon as she muttered frick off to a customer, it went beyond no tip territory. You should have spoken to the manager. I often pee sitting down even though I am a virile hetero male in every way. I find it has lots of advantages, the least of which being comfort and no chance of peeing all over my bathroom floor at night. I punched a girl in the face after she hit me in the balls. She apparently thought it was hilarious and did this to tons of guys. Well, she hit me in the balls on a bad day and I punched her square in the nose. From that day everyone in my class hated me because I hit a girl and was horrible for it. I also never see torrents. That B had it coming. The torrent thing makes you kind of a dong. I once stopped someone in the middle of them talking about something no one cared about by telling flat out that no one cares. I did it gently. I said, that's nice, man, but none of us are into that, and we can't care what you're talking about. How was your day at work? I was just sick of people not saying anything. My dad and I were alone in his car when he dropped me off at home after spending time with my grandparents. Meant to give him a kiss on the cheek. I was 21-22. It's been a while since I showed that sort of affection for my father. I missed and pecked him on the lips. I didn't think about it right away, as I hopped from the car and headed up to my apt. I am sure it was not a big deal, really, since I'm his kid and all. When I was little I am positive he kissed me and I kissed him like that all the time, but when I got upstairs I suddenly realized what I did and how much of a social stigma it really was. I wondered and still wonder what he might have thought of me after that occurred. I'm a bloke. My dad never mentioned it, and we never talked about it, so I am probably right to assume it wasn't a big deal. Do you still kiss your mom and or dad on the lips? How old are you? How does your tackle hang? Gender. Kissing. Occasionally. On the cheek. 23. Female, but I still hold hands with my dad. Even in public. D. I let people talk and while I mostly listen, I only pay just enough attention to give appropriate responses as necessary to keep them going. As such, I don't talk all that much, and when I do, I'm extremely blunt and absolutely revile sugarcoating things. And when I do soften what I say, I point it out when I do so. Thankfully I'm a good enough actor that I can actually still get hired, but otherwise, if you want brutal honesty about something, I give it. I enjoy having the movie theater all to myself. I accomplish this by going at odd hours to unpopular theaters and watching movies that have been playing for a while. When I watched The Secret World of E.T., it was me and a group of 3 people sitting 5 rows behind me. After I sat down, I turned and told them, since it is only us, I don't mind if you talk during the movie. I will be doing the same. I made couple of funny comments during the movie. They nervously laughed at some of them, but mostly they remained really quiet for the entire movie. Bottom line, the best way to keep people quiet at the theater is to ask them to speak. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.